Hi, welcome to Coffee and Closers. I'm Mickeli Bedore, and I want to personally invite you to join me and one of today's top performing sales stars for a cup of coffee and authentic conversation. And our collective goal is that you will walk away with tangible knowledge that you can apply to your sales efforts today. Are you ready? Grab a cup, fill it up, and let's get into another episode of Coffee and Closers. Hey everybody, how are you? Can I see some love in that chat box to make sure that I know that you're live and with us? All right. Well, first of all, thank you. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Closers. For those of you that have been with us from the co-working space days to the theater days to now this, thank you from the bottom of our heart for all the members of the Closers community for following us into this journey and to right now into the unknown. You're probably looking around thinking, something's different. I haven't had a haircut in like a month and a half, so you're right, nailed it. We had about 350 people sign up for this episode. So I know that there are some new folks that are joining us for the first time. First of all, let us welcome you to the Closers community. If you feel welcome here and you like the experience, there's a whole heap of more of this over at closersmedia.com. And we invite you to join our Closers community Facebook page. A lot of the questions that are going to be answered first are from members of the Closers community. We'd love to invite you to that as well. So for those of you who haven't been with us, 30 days ago, the Closers community banded together. We sold out the Music Box Theater, and we had an amazing time being inspired by Mr. Chris Lindahl. 2 weeks after that, it all went away. And I would be lying to you if it didn't hurt. And I just remember, being on that stage, I was so nervous. It was a childhood dream to be on a theater stage doing what I love. And I was just forcing myself. I was nervous, and Chris Lindahl was so amazing. And to picture, the audience in their bathrobes and their underwear. And ironically, today, I'm guessing most of you are in fact watching this in your bathrobes and your underwear. So whatever, come as you are. So this is how this usually goes. For the first 30 minutes, usually I'll ask our guest a handful of questions, and that would be recorded and distributed on our podcast, which is Coffee and Closers. That's on iTunes and Spotify. And then the next 30 minutes is generally just live Q&A for the audience members. However, we've had an outcry, an outpour of asks for help, people not sure what to do in this situation, people that have been selling in the field for their entire careers and now forced to work from home with kids running around. A lot of uncertainty. So we decided to dedicate today, inviting a couple of people that have been selling virtually fairly successfully for a long, long time. Yes, I'm one of them. Josh Fedie's the other, you all know, to hopefully supply some answers. This is going to be Q&A the entire 60 minutes. So buckle up. Before we jump in, I want to make sure we thank some people that make this possible. First and foremost, to our Closers media team. I don't think I could, tie my shoes without you. So thank you. I want to thank Ellen, Jen, Kate, Gario, and Allison for everything that you did to make this possible. I want to thank Alex Rossi. If you guys were here early, then you know that Alex Rossi was providing the sweet tracks, and we're huge fans of him. So go check out Alex Rossi. He's on iTunes, Spotify, and so on. He's amazing. And none of this would be possible. None of these lights and all this setup would be possible without our partners and supporters. You know who you are. And if you go over, I don't know where the chat box is on your computer, but wherever the chat box is on your screen, go over there and check them out. Kate is going to be helping us out, facilitate that, as well as playing MC today. So you'll see Kate writing in the links as I introduce them. First of all, TriNet. So Abby and Justin, thank you guys for your support. You're amazing. If you run a small company or are looking to grow, right now you know that employee retention is at an all-time max, right? What they do is they provide big corporate benefits and more at a small company budget. They're amazing. They've helped a ton of our Closers community members thrive. So go hit them up in the link over here or in the chat box over here. And then a noble, that's Miss Kate. When she is not helping run Closers Media, she runs a noble. And so what she's epic at is helping you tell your brand story in a way that inspires conversations and meetings that close. Go check out a noble over here in the chat box. And then last but not least, the folks that generally are here with us, wearing lanyards and helping run the whole deal. Those, of course, are Red Birch Recruiting. Thank you, Jeff. They are Back 40. The infamous Aaron Eggert, Click 360, thanks Mike Lewis, and Time on Target, of course, talking about Kevin. Thank you guys for your support through these crazy times. All right, let's get in the show. So here's who you're going to hear from. Myself, I'm the co-founder of Closers Media, host of Coffee and Closers, and I have founded a handful of startups, all in the sales and marketing role, and helped a couple to acquisition. Throughout this, though, I've been a bag carrying, a quota carrying sales rep for the last 10, 15 years. At some of the best companies in the world, NetSuite, IBM, Oracle, and so on. And so I have been spending a lot of time selling virtually, and hopefully I'll be able to bestow some knowledge on you guys that way. As far as my guest, personally, he's a dear friend. I have just been such a fan of Josh since we met many years ago, and I've just been fun to watch him grow. You guys are going to learn a ton from him. My good friend and true partner at Coffee and Closers here, Josh Fedie, he's a sales and marketing superstar who doubles as the CEO and founder of, I think, the greatest sales tool since the cell phone. In my opinion, honestly, though, his tool, Sales Reach, it's revolutionizing the inside sales game. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Mr. to Mr. Josh Fedie.
Did you say Mr. Coffee and Closers? Is that how you were bringing me into this thing?
You know, I wanted to continue the confusing. So there's a lot of people that think that Josh Fedie founded Coffee and Closers and I work for him. That is incorrect. But I like to confuse just because it's something to do. But buddy, that was the quietest. That was the quietest introduction I think we've ever received together. I know you're used to, you know, fanfare and being showered with unmentionables and applause and all kinds of stuff. But wow. You know, thanks for slumming with it today.
It's fine. But I see Ryan is already on the success hair comment. Thank you, Ryan, for bringing that back. So yes, this is my third appearance on Coffee and Closers. I'm honored to be here. And on my second appearance, I dropped the success hairline, which I will never live down. So there it is. There it is.
Well, I'm honored to be part of your branding messaging now. It sounds like that greatest sales tool since the cell phone. It's kind of, you know, it's taken off.
Yeah.
How are you, man? How are you? First, before we get into this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm doing great. Honestly, my first business I launched intentionally in a recession, and that business I ran completely remote for 5 years. So I'm very used to working out of my home. The preference, obviously, is to work out of my office. My preference is to be around people, but mentally, I'm doing good. I've been getting more exercise, which is good. I got these bikes back here that are actually getting some use again for the first time in, I think, 3 years. You know, when you run a startup business, you kind of lose the time that you used to have. And the weekend comes, I'm being more intentional about getting out and enjoying things like that. Because look, I can't just run to a restaurant and waste a bunch of money and do other things. We have to cook at home. We have to, you know, whatever. So I'm doing good, honestly. And I think that the morale is high at the company. I think that everybody is weathering through this. We're in a very fortunate position. We're a tech company, right? Tech companies can run from wherever they have to run from. And so, you know, I don't take that for granted for a single day that, thank God, the business that I decided to launch this time around was a tech business, was a business that could weather this storm. So that's where we're at.
Hey man, I wasn't sure about those bikes in the background. I've been seeing a lot of people's hobbies like slip up in the back. Like, I do athletic things. Trust me, they're right there. No, it's been
they're right there. Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to come on, is because, and this is why we decided to kind of change everything. If we're going to change it and be, you know, virtual, we might as well do something that really speaks right now. And there's been a lot of people that have been through the Closers community that have been coming to us saying, I've been in the field for my whole career. Like, I have sold face to face. That's how I'm the most comfortable. Now I got to be behind. I mean, everyone's trying to figure out video, people are, you've probably seen the memes on Zoom. People are, they're having a hell of a time. And then they mix it with, am I going to have a job next week? That's not a good situation when your job is to be confident in what you do and confident that you can help and so on and so forth. How have you been kind of tackling those fears? I'm sure your customers have them, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I start every day blissfully unaware, honestly. I think that that's the best way to be right now. Start every day reminding myself that we're going to close some huge deals today, that some good things are going to happen today. That's what I did before coronavirus came into our lives. Why would I stop that now? Mindset is everything in sales. Mick, you talk about this with so many of your guests. Mindset is everything, number one. So you need to be able to put yourself in the right headspace to be successful. And, you know, there's a lot of things we need to silence right now to get into that right headspace. We need to silence the people that are saying, be sensitive, don't sell. We need to silence the people that say, you know, just weather the storm. We need to silence. There's a lot we need to silence. But for me, the thing that works best for me is to get up, put some of my hair in, right? Do the normal work routine, put on my tech-based t-shirt. I got the beta one on right now. Well, let's not get too undressed for your audience right now, right? Get in my normal state of being, get into my office, my home office where it's set up and I'm ready to work and just heads down, go. It's the best way to just get through this. And honestly, other than missing the face-to-face interaction, I've been having a lot of interaction with people face-to-face virtually, just not personally. And I miss that. But I think we're having a pretty good time right now, honestly, from what I'm seeing.
Well, and so we had some questions come through the closers community thing. We've got some over here, and I know Kate's going to be emceeing this when she gets off mute. But one of the questions that we were asked was, I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. I mean, we've been on how many podcasts together lately? We get asked this all the time is, how do you keep a positive attitude during quarantine? And you know, I'm trying, but I'm losing steam. And something that I heard the other day that I want to repeat was, this isn't the first time in history that a salesperson who's reaching out to new prospects who have never heard from you before don't want to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you can, maybe it's the corona, maybe it's just a random Tuesday. Like generally in sales, we're in the business of no. So we got to remind ourselves that we can't let what other people say. I mean, there are some people that are paid to, you know, create, you know, whatever, right? And we got to make sure that we are in our mind right. Because here's the deal: you can't control the economy, right? Can't control what's being said, but you can control your attitude. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: people don't know this, and you know this about me. I love to trade. So in 2008, you know, obviously at least our age, the recession. We remember that the recession hit us, right? It was crazy. But I was reading there were more millionaires that were made about 2 or 3 weeks after the stock market tanked. Did you know this? It hit the rock bottom, and more millionaires were made in that next few weeks when it recovered than like ever before. And the reason is because we're seeing this. We were just on a call on the last Friday where there are some people. There's people that are saying, I don't think I can hack it. I don't know. I'm nervous. And then there are people that are looking at this and going, you know, I have to pivot. I have to change. I see opportunity if I do that, and they're putting a plan together and they're seizing it. And, you know, and you're one or the other, right? And it's a choice, but it's all about attitude, man.
Hey, Mickeli and Josh, we've got a great question from the audience kind of on that topic, which, you know, speaking about how do I not lose steam, any advice on keeping my head up? You know, we had another question is, we recognize that this could be an opportunity to be, how do you say, seize the opportunity, but how does someone sell and promote during this time without coming across as opportunistic or predatory? Because that is a risk that you can run.
Was that person Mick White?
Yes, it is Mick White.
Mick, thank you, brother. I love that question. Do you want to go?
I love this one. You want me to go first on this one? Yeah. I got it. We got a little leg here. Okay. So I love this one, right? And I think number one, the big problem in that question is the question itself. How do I sell in this environment? How do I come, right? We have to sell. We have to sell. So what we really have to sit back and think about is why is this important to the person we're talking to right now? So this is kind of the way that I look at products and services right now today. I think everybody has the freedom to sell because we all have to keep our businesses going. But what we all have to sit back and think and ask ourselves before we ever reach out to anyone is this something that's actually necessary to them in their life right now? And how can I make it feel that way to me and to them? Because first you got to convince yourself before you're going to be able to convince them that it's valuable to them. Now, if you cannot find a reason that your product is valuable to them right now, then you should not be selling to them right now. Then you should be going into helper mode. You should be helping them now because eventually they're going to need whatever your product or service is, and they will think of you first thing. They will think of you as soon as they need it, but they're not going to buy right now. You're going to be insensitive right now, and you should not be selling. But if you ask yourself, is my product or service valuable to this person or this company right now? Will this help them do better right now because of what's happening? Then you have every right in the world to sell because again, you are helping them. You are helping them get through this because you are offering something that is helping them get through this. That's my feeling on it. What do you think, Mick?
I think right now, I love those points. And Mick, we've had this conversation, but for the rest of the 350 people that haven't, I truly believe this, man, and call it lifelong sales guy, but I believe right now that the seller that role is one of the most important roles in business right now. Why? Because people buy, they need to buy when they have a pain, right? And they have a need. And right now there are a lot of people with a lot of pain and there's a lot of people with a lot of need. And it's our duty to reach out to them, right? You can't be afraid. It's our duty to reach out to them and ask them, how are you doing? How is your business? How are you handling this? What are you doing? What are you focusing on? And if you hear and then listen, right? Like actually care and listen. And if you hear things that you can help, it is your duty to help them. You have to help them. This isn't, I hope I'm not stepping on any eggshells, because if you don't, then if you can help them and you have the solve and you believe that you can do it better than anyone else, then you have to, right? Like if you have an oar and somebody's going downstream, this is a time where we can't think like that. We can't think this is predatory or this is bad. This is something where we say, if I can help you, I must, because you need my help more than ever right now. And I found that to be fair, and people generally respect it.
Mickeli and Josh, this brings up a really good point. We've got some great comments right now from the community in the chat box talking about, to your point, be present, be there to help, ask yourself if what I'm offering is really of value, and if so, be that person that can honestly share a solution that could solve somebody's problem. Now, I want to slightly pivot. We had a great question from Chad Helgamo in the audience today. And with that, one of the things we know in selling is that often it's very easy for us to provide solutions in more of a, what we call a warm prospecting climate. How do we then take that advice that you guys are giving us and apply that to sometimes where we're having to do cold calling? Do you have any insight on, in a typical situation, we may be doing cold calls, how does that potentially pivot, or is there a nuance that you'd recommend now going with what's going on?
Mick, I'll let you take the first one on this one.
So the question is, can you repeat the part? I think I hear, how do you cold call in this environment?
That's correct. Now knowing what we know, now knowing that if we have a solution, at the same time recognizing it's important to be sensitive to businesses during this time, do you have advice on how we can approach cold calling?
Yes. We're doing it right now. In fact, we're launching a campaign to reach out to folks, but it's all based around the same empathetic message, which is, how are you? We may have never spoken before, but I'd like to begin a relationship now. In some cases, I just mentioned we have more time now. Maybe you do also. But I have found that it's okay to ask. If you're doing your research and you're putting together kind of your territory account list or whatever, you're trying to find people with something going on. There's been layoffs, there's been pivots, there's been things, and it's been in my Google alerts, it's been in the news. Those are the people that I want to reach out to first, and I want to ask the question sincerely is, how are you doing? And I ask them as a business owner myself, I say, I have found that there are kind of two camps right now, not three, but two. And there are people that are uncertain and they're going to sit this one out. They're going to take a knee. And then there are those others that are looking at this as an incredible opportunity to pivot and change their business forever. My neighbor here, he sells into the food industry. He's a well-known name selling to the food industry. Who's getting hit harder than them, right? He says that there are some there's some restaurants that will never reopen, but there are a lot of them that are doing like Trouble, that are doing I think Papa Murphy's, where they're packaging food where you can take it home and cook it with your family, or companies that or restaurants that have never done delivery before doing delivery, right? Those now are habits. Those are new habits and new revenue streams that those companies probably will keep for the rest of eternity. And then when their restaurant or whatever comes back, they'll have these new streams of income. For us at Closers Media, we're launching we got 2 new virtual products coming out, a sales acceleration coaching for small teams to help them close deals, as well as some masterclass meets facilitated virtual workshops for redundant learning. I would have never in a million years thought to do that before. In fact, I thought we were done when the event business went away. But in fact, we're going to have these new things that we're excited about. So by bringing that question up and asking, was this move a pivot, or was it a kind of a response? We have seen, and I think, Josh, you can say the same, is I've seen a lot more companies that are looking at this now, 2 weeks in, as, you know what, we got to be in business. We got to stay afloat. Let's get creative. And they're having more fun than they ever have. And they're seeing revenue streams that they haven't before. So when you bring up a business conversation like that, you're not selling. You're genuinely curious. I love business, and I love hearing about new ideas. And then that conversation can then tend to turn into, what do you have? By the way, what do you offer? What do you got? Well, I heard 3 things that you're trying to fix right now, and I can help one of them. That's how I'm selling. How are you doing it, Josh?
Yeah, so I mean, the word cold calling always gets me up on a soapbox, and I promise I'm not going to do it this time, right? But what I will say is that if you're literally cold calling right now, stop. It should never be truly cold. You can warm these leads up in some capacity. But to piggyback on what Mickeli was saying here, this is a good time actually to be clear. And you ask yourself, is what I'm bringing to the table right now of tremendous value to them right now? And if it's of value to them right now, then that's your lead off. That's why you're reaching out to them. You reach out and you say, I don't always approach people this way, sorry to come at you out of the blue like this. However, the reason I'm doing this is because I noticed that your company is going through XYZ. And because of that, a product like ours could probably help you achieve some of the revenue milestones that you have, right? The phrasing is everything. What I would also say is that make sure in those early outreaches that you have, don't put COVID-19 or coronavirus in your subject line. That's just, it like immediately rubs everyone that receives that message the wrong way. I've seen a lot of people doing that just to kind of be like relevant with the times, but it's not, it's insensitive. There's people that are searching their inbox looking for more valuable information about Corona than whatever your product and service is. So be careful with that. But yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know, people keep talking about how they have more time than they've ever had before. And this is another thing that just gets me going right now, because I don't know who's finding this time. I'm busier than I've ever been in my life. I'm saving 15 minutes a day on a commute. Outside of that, like I'm just as busy as I ever was. However, everybody's saying they have more time than they ever have. So it is a good time to reach out to people, especially in certain industries. Real quick story. There was a small startup company in Minnesota that I was talking to just recently. And just like Mickeli was saying, the food service industry, they're getting just absolutely clobbered right now. His product sells into the food service industry. And he said to me, we're going to take a little bit of a step back from selling right now. We're going to like build out a more robust roadmap feature set on our product right now. This is actually a good time for us to take a breather from selling. And I said, whoa. Why are you taking a breather from selling? The hardest people in the world to get a hold of are restaurant owners. When restaurants are kicking, they have about 30 minutes in their day where they're not prepping for the next food service, right? And right now you have an audience that they're captive. They don't really want to be available, but they are available right now. And if you put together the right sort of messaging for that kind of audience, if you're selling into that audience, just as an example, you're going to make some serious inroads. And in that capacity, doubling down on cold calling efforts is like, absolutely go, because they're going to get back to work here soon. You're not going to be able to reach them. So hope that helps.
This is great insight, guys. And we have kind of a question that's really stems off of this a bit. You know, recognizing that now we are in the situation, if you say, I've got something of value, we should be out there selling and providing solutions. For those of us that have been in that face-to-face world for so long, what are some pieces of advice that you can offer on how to do this virtually in a very successful way? Meaning, you know, is it emailing? Is it calling? Is it setting up virtual coffees with folks? Is it doing workshops? What are some of the ways that you're seeing are the best avenues in which to connect in a virtual world with your prospects and your warm leads to better make those inroads?
This is a perfect time for people as individuals to be innovating in their approach. Look at the popularity right now of the virtual happy hour. Mick, we started doing virtual happy hours probably like 4 months ago together, right? And like I would open up my calendar on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I'm doing a virtual happy hour. Anyone's available to join? And I'd have like 3 people join because everyone was like, no, I'd rather meet in person, whatever. Now it's like everybody's doing it, right? Like start innovating in these spaces, right? Just start inviting people into, because look, everybody's forced into this right now. Not a single one of your prospects is going to say, no, I don't want to do a virtual happy hour. Let's wait. I mean, this Corona thing will pass by 2022. Let's get together by then, right? Let's go get a drink then. No, they're going to be more than happy to get together with you because that's how they're getting together with their mother, their father, their in-laws, their nieces and nephews, their business associates. Like that is how we're getting together right now. So don't be afraid to do that. And if people aren't creating those events in your network, be the person that's creating those events. If people in your network are creating those events, show up for those events. There's a handful of people in the chats right now. I've been on their virtual happy hours over the last couple of weeks, and it's been a great way to just stay connected to people and stay top of mind. But also, before I let you talk, Mick, I'll just say, like, let's be honest here. If we can't be resourceful and sell in this environment, we've got bigger issues. We've got bigger issues for ourselves as sales professionals because this isn't that hard. I'm just going to put it out there. And there's probably people that are going to say, no, this is horrible. I need the face-to-face interaction. You don't. Those are excuses. You have a direct line to someone right here. We have 183 people on this chat right now. Why? Because we decided to do this. That's why. Because we decided to do this. Because we decided Coffee and Closers can't be in person. What else could it be? Oh, let's give it a try. Just decide to do something more and you'll be fine. You go.
Yeah, I know I got a lot to say on this because I've been a field rep. Like I've literally been supposed to be a face-to-face rep for 10 years. I sell 70% of my deals over the phone. I prefer it. I'll get to that. But I will say to your point, there's a question here that I want to roll this into and I'll be quick is, first of all, thank you for helping us set up this technical stuff. You guys don't realize this is not natural for me. This technical, you have no idea all the crap we got around here. It is not, but we had to pivot because the thought of shutting down Coffee and Closers made me sick. And our closer community also, it made them sick. And we thought, all right, we got to figure this out. This wasn't easy, but we do it because it brings value. So someone asked a question about, you do live events and now virtual, and I'm screwing up how you said it. So I apologize to that person, but I would have to be omitted if I went to every virtual happy hour that I was invited to, right? I'd have a problem. Some of them I go to, some of them I don't. And the reason is because some of them bring a lot of value to my life. Now I'm a family man too, so I can't be going drinking all night every night virtually. It has to bring some value. Why are there 100 and bunch of people sign up for this is because I hope that we're bringing value to you and it's different and it's about you. Now selling virtually, okay, I'm actually an avid, passionate selling virtual person. And I'll just tell you how I do it and why I like it. Number one is I do not like surprises. Some of you, maybe you do. You like to be shocked and like to be scared when people jump out of the bushes. I don't like that at all. I like to be prepared, right? I like to know what I'm talking about. And out of respect for the person I'm about to spend time with, I want to know a little bit about them, where they went to school. I want to know what their business needs are. I want to know all those things. It's a lot easier for me to have that as my Zoom screen is right here. I mean, just to be honest, I have notes right here, to make sure that I don't screw this up. I'll have that on my big screen. I have my computer and my screen, and I'll have notes. So when I'm speaking to them, they don't know it's there, but I sound like I really do care. Do you know what I mean? I also always use my Zoom camera. Half the time they'll just stay on mute or they won't use video, but they see me. They know I'm a real boy. They know I'm a real person, and they can see my face when I talk passionately about helping their business. I prefer it because I don't have to get in a plane and leave my family. I don't have to spend hours in traffic. I can make twice the amount of calls and set twice the amount of meetings that I could right from my desk. And in all intents and purposes, in today's buying climate, they need a little less talk and a lot more action. Do you know what I mean? They're probably coming to the table somewhat aware of what you do. They have a pain. They've probably already whittled you down to like a short list. It is now your job to deliver content and message, like to deliver what they need, to keep your promises, educate them on what you can do to help them with their pain and their needs, and then to deliver that. I would be shocked. Yep. Again, I'm with you, Josh. I would be shocked if customers truly would make a buying decision based on you being, flying into, over the phone. If you really believe that this is a product or service that you need, and right now you can't travel, I would be shocked that people wouldn't give you a break on this, because none of us can travel.
Yeah.
I hope that answers the question.
Look, I want to throw in one more thing before Kate jumps in with the next question too, is building trust. The skills that we are learning right now, building trust in a solely remote environment, if you can learn those skills right now, you are going to be unstoppable when this whole thing ends, honestly. And building trust, Amen. People say this all the time. They say, build trust. And I think some people take it way too lightly, what that actually means to build trust with somebody. Once you've actually built true trust with somebody and you realize, oh, that's what trust looks like, then you rethink all those other times that you had those conversations with people where you thought you had earned their trust and you really haven't. I'll never forget, on a more of a personal note, the day that I realized that I had earned the trust of my now wife. I think going into that, I just always assumed blindly that she must trust me. But the thing is, until you're drugged through the mud, until you go through hardships and you come out of it together, it's really hard to truly build that trust. And the reason I say that is because right now we're being drugged through the mud. We're being put through some real trials and tribulations, just like our prospects are. And they are looking for a soft place to land. They are looking for someone strong to advise them in how to get through this. And if we fall back into this depressed funk where we can't bring our life, our livelihood, or our joy and our energy into the conversation, that's not who they want to talk to. They don't want another shoulder to talk about how horrible this is with. They want someone to walk in the room and say, you know what, this is going to be okay. This is how you're going to get through it. I have a plan. It's these 3 things. This is what I think you should at least look at doing. How do you feel about that? Do you think that would help you? Let's get you through this. Let's get you through this. They're going to respect that more than anything right now. So look for ways to be that rock for your prospects right now, and really put that in your head. I am their rock. I am their rock. Put that in your head. That's going to be the new meme. Why did I even say that? Anyway, there you go.
This is such great stuff, you guys. And it brings up a couple other questions from the community. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for submitting questions. We recognize we may not get to all of your questions today. And so just know that while we're on a time crunch, as we want to be mindful of everybody's schedules, we really appreciate the engagement, the chats, the questions coming from folks. So thank you. And I have a feeling a lot of this, if you want to continue these conversations, you can go ahead and follow and join the Closers Media Facebook group. And that's a great place to start to post some of these questions and begin to engage with others in the community. All right, so the next question that we had kind of tying into this is, Josh, you talk about be the rock. You guys are talking about adding value.
It's sticky.
Everybody's doing workshops. Everybody's doing happy hours. So how do you differentiate yourself right now in terms of whether it is scheduling? One person asked, what if I schedule a virtual workshop, or what if I'm scheduling a bunch of one-on-one virtual coffees? How are you feeling it's the best way to pitch that to somebody and differentiate so they're going to actually attend?
I'm happy to take this if you want me to go first, Mick.
I always like to let you like take the fall and then I'll pick up the pieces and look awesome. So yeah, why don't you go first? Sorry, buddy. I can't be disrespectful this long, please.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. So, I mean, so here's what I would ask. Here's what I would say. I think that a lot of people are concerned about doing things like webinars because they think that if you don't have 50 or 100 or 1,000 people show up, that it was a failure. And I think that paralyzes them from moving forward with anything. And what I would challenge everyone to really, truly just understand in themselves is, number one, don't try to be anyone else. Don't try to do the same webinar that Gary Vee's doing. Don't try to do the same webinar that Mickeli's doing. Don't try to do the same webinar that I'm doing. Don't do that. Be yourself. And if you're truly being yourself, and if you're organizing something that's bringing value, and even just 4 people show up, that could turn into new revenue for you. And that is not a failure. Not at all, not by any measure. So that's what I would say is, again, go back to the value proposition. Why are you doing a webinar? Don't do it just to jump on the bandwagon. Don't do it because it's trendy right now. Don't do a virtual happy hour because everyone's doing it. It's ridiculous. Like, you're not going to bring any value. And then what people are going to remember is that you wasted an hour of their life. But if you can bring value, if you can justify in your head, this is why I'm doing this, and people are going to leave this knowing this, do it. And even if 4 people show up, massive success, because those 4 people are going to leave feeling invigorated. They're going to tell multiple people about it. You're going to record what you do, and you're going to rebroadcast it. You're going to do all of the social selling stuff after the fact. That is an evergreen piece of content that never, ever dies. You should be doing those things. Capture them, rebroadcast them, multi-use for these streams that you're doing. This is everything right now. So just get started. Just do them. Don't let anything get in your way.
I'm so with you, man. I'll keep mine short because you said everything that I was going to say. The truth is, there's 2 things, and we're both big Gary Vee fans. You know, we met him together, and is get started. Chris Lindahl, he's another guy that I'd never been like the selfie kind of video guy. And after our theater show, I was so excited. And before he left, he goes, you know, you go right in that theater and you do this. And we had like 12,000 hits or something. And he was right, because people don't care as long as you're being sincere and you're bringing value. The other thing, though, that I want to touch on that you brought up a little bit is, I have a couple kids. I have a wife, right? I have those responsibilities outside of my business. And I didn't think like this until I had them. But I look and pretend that everybody has kids or everyone has something else going on. Therefore, I need to be uber sensitive of their time and respect for their time and a commitment not to waste it. So to your point about getting started and doing webinars and doing video, absolutely. And if it doesn't work, do something else. Do something else. Keep pivoting until you find your lane. Because here's the thing, whether it's good or bad quality, if you're in your zone and you feel comfortable and you're being yourself, whatever it is, you're going to kick ass at it. Do you know what I mean? And people are going to feel that, right? Nobody wants to watch people
Here's
on
what I would
TV. What?
Oh, sorry, we got a little bit of a lag, but what I to what right now is anybody watching, right? We still have a ton of people watching this. This is absolutely incredible. So thanks everyone for doing this. But think about this for a second. We are live streaming right now. Everything that is happening right now is live. I can't take back anything I say. You can't take back anything you say, Mick. Like, this is live. This is nerve-wracking, right? So if you're looking for ways to stand out right now from your competition or from other people that are selling against you, it's doing the things that are uncomfortable. There is nothing comfortable about this right now. There's absolutely nothing comfortable. My dogs could come storming in any minute right now. My kids could jump on their game system and my internet collapses in the house and the whole thing shuts down. I could say something really stupid that's potentially devastating to my business. I have lip slips all the time, right? Like, that is kind of my middle name, is like Josh stupid, like said something stupid Fedie, right? So this is nerve-wracking. Do the things that are uncomfortable, because doing the things that are uncomfortable challenges you to be better and better every single day and puts you light years ahead of anyone else that you're competing against.
I'm with you, man. I think this has been our mantra since this whole thing happened. We've had a lot of side conversations prior to this happening, which is one of the reasons I wanted you on here, was just that choice of how you're going to approach this and how you're going to think through this. It gives you freedom to just try things you wouldn't have otherwise tried. Like we dream on, what day where we have our dream days, where we just come up with ideas, and some have stuck, right?
Yeah.
Why not? This is a perfect time for you to take chances, because nobody knows what's coming next week, and everyone's trying to figure this out. And really at the end, when you see someone be vulnerable, I don't want you to fail. I don't want any of these people in this chat to fail. I don't know half of them, but I don't want you to fail. Like, we want to see people succeed. And when you're comfortable, you're great. And when you're comfortable and you bring value, well, that's the secret sauce, right? So
I've got a really practical question from the audience, because not everybody in this room, like Mickeli and Josh, are just wordsmiths. So let's throw this out here. If somebody is going to write an email, a personal email to, I don't know, a bunch of people in their LinkedIn network, maybe folks they had been in touch with for coffees over the last year, any of their potential prospects, and even just professional friends, what would you say in 1 or 2 lines to invite them to your unique, genius, live webinar, virtual thing? How would you actually phrase that and say that? And the caveat here is, somebody said, this may sound stupid, but some of us seriously don't know how to say it in a way that doesn't come across pushy. So Mickeli and Josh, any advice for those folks in the room that maybe aren't just wordsmiths? They don't know how to craft that in an email.
First of all, whoever asked that question, thank you for being vulnerable. If you're brand new to the closers community and Coffee and Closers, this was built on failure, getting back up again, being vulnerable. And so whoever asked that question, thank you, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. You had something on your mind.
I always have something on my mind. To this one is, Mickeli said it earlier, that he's been using emails that start out with, how are you doing, right? Maybe in the subject line. This is something that me and Mickeli had a conversation about recently, where I disagreed with him there. I'm going to disagree with you again right here. I think that there's a time and a place for those kind of emails. So I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but specifically a LinkedIn connection, a prospect you've talked to before, professional acquaintances, those are exactly the people that you start out with. How are you doing? How are you holding up? I genuinely care, and I want to know. And I've put this virtual group there that I want you to attend, so that we can just check in with each other and make sure that we're helping each other the best way we can. That's all I'd say. And I'd give them a link to the webinar and I'd ask them to join. That is a sincere request. When you ask someone you actually know how they're doing, how their family's doing, that's a sincere request. It's not a sincere request if you put that in a subject line of an email address on a cold outreach for someone you've never met and you have no idea how many children they have, or whether or not their mother or father are even alive today, or any of those things. Don't put that in your subject, and then that is insincere. But if you know someone, start that way. And honestly, if you just approach people with that, we just want to get together. We just want to touch. We just need some interaction. We want to be there for each other. Being there for each other is going to pay dividends, both professionally and personally. Honestly, it will. It means a lot to people right now to be invited to sort of things.
Yeah, and Josh, I know that point always gets you. So I don't do a lot of cold outreach anymore. I mean, it's been a long. I've been in the field a long time, so a lot of this is warm. However, if it is someone that I'm not super familiar with, okay, so let's start with the cold, and then we'll go with the warm, because I am going to stand by my warm thing, which is what you're referring to. The cold thing, though, is, again, it's 2020. Like, we have tools where we can look up anything we want on any company of any size. When back in the day when I was selling big enterprise, it was 10Ks. You just go pull their 10K, their financial report. You could learn everything about them. I still recommend that, but I don't sell an enterprise right now. Yeah. Is to invite them to look and say, maybe they were a Tommy, which, if you're not from here, the St. Thomas is a school around here that it's good brother and sisterhood. Maybe they're a Tommy. Maybe something about them that is they're a CFO, they're a controller, they're whatever. Based upon, just based on your title and your whatever, I would invite them to join a group of other people that maybe are CFOs of enterprise companies, controllers of small divisions, whatever it is that is a similarity, and invite them to say, with the message being, we're all better together, right? We're all stronger together. And these are some like-minded people that I'm going to be putting together. Thought you might want to join. Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. But again, we're not selling. This is a relationship that we're trying to build, right? We're trying to understand. And then that webinar, whatever that thing is that you're putting together, should be based around the commitments that you made to them to say, we're going to discuss a couple, 3 things that people are really, that are facing right now. Let's round robin and who wants to go first, and just have people open it up. That's what I would do.
Yep. Love that.
I think we have time for probably one more question from this group, and we've had a ton of questions popping in, so thank you. And by the way, tons of great chat feedback. Again, I'll just mention, if for people that want to continue the conversation, if you are not on Facebook and already part of the Closers Media Facebook group, you can actually check that out and join. And we've got hundreds of members of people just like you, whether they're one-time attendees or have been going for the last few years. Really great place to begin to build your network and also just talk through some of these questions. So I have one final question for you guys. You know, here we are, and this came from Mike, and so we're 3 weeks in. You know, at the end of the day, what do you wish you would have known at the start of this whole thing? And what are you going to do more of or less of moving forward from today?
Well,
yeah. Wow.
Good question. There you go.
I wish I would have grabbed more of my camera equipment before I ran from the office like it was on fire. Yeah. No, honestly, so I don't know how many people are on this, attended the webinar that my company did 3 weeks ago now, I think. And Mickeli was a guest on that. We called it Grounded. It was really wild because one of our customers reached out to us. He was a salesperson, an enterprise salesperson that does a lot of face-to-face, a lot of traveling required for his role. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, we've been grounded." And I said, "What do you mean? Like, I know what it meant when I was grounded as a kid, but like there's no way your boss grounded you, right? Like, what does that mean?" And he's like, no face-to-face, can't get on a plane, none of that stuff. And I was like, whoa, is this really that big of a deal? Like, you know, I think at that time we were all still watching this coronavirus and thinking, oh, that'll never make it here. That's never going to make it here. We're totally going to be fine. And immediately sat down, Jared, marketing manager at Sales, we said, let's do a webinar. Let's just put on a webinar talking about tips and tricks for salespeople that cannot meet face-to-face. Let's talk about free tools, video tools, all kinds of project planning tools, management tools, ways for distributed teams to interact with their prospects. When we did Grounded, we still thought that it was as usual, except for the salespeople weren't able to get on airplane. We did not have any foresight that we weren't going to be going back into the office, that all of our team members that we were used to seeing every day were no longer going to be next to us. We thought that was still going to be a thing when we did that. So I think at the end of the day, what would I do differently? I think that I would think a little bit harder about what the repercussions of this whole thing could have been. And I would have planned more appropriately for, you know, not just losing the ability to meet face-to-face with people, but losing the ability to meet face-to-face with my actual team and making more of a proactive plan going into this. But, you know, hindsight, right?
No, dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, I remember having conversations. We were at an event, and it was right when this was happening. And all of a sudden that next week, it was just, you know, I mean, your office got closed down. We were in quarantine in Iowa. But for me, there's a couple things. Number one, I wish I wouldn't have been so stodgy. And I wish that I would have done this, what we're doing right now, earlier, to get more familiarized with it so we could have more content for you guys. But you can't predict the future, right? We're doing the best that we can. But I think what I know now is people are fighters. People are fighting this harder than there's more people that I have found, and I am prospecting. I am in the field as a startup founder and as a sales guy a lot, all week long. And I found that there are more people that are looking at this as an opportunity that are not. Do you know what I mean? And a couple weeks ago, I didn't know that. I was scared. I mean, shit, I thought we were going to lose our event company. Do you know what I mean? So we were worried. I thought, you know, are we going to lose? What are we going to lose? And then that pivot. And I've learned that as a business owner, to this pivot move from other business owners. And that's what I'm saying. If you're genuinely curious and you genuinely care, really get out there and make new connections. Start talking to people because they're going to share, and it might inspire you because it inspired us to do this. But I would have never in a million years imagined, you know, that during something like this, that there's a lot of people that are hustling. And there's going to be a lot of cool new businesses, or at least businesses we thought we knew that are way different when this is all said and done, that are going to be bulletproof for something like this in the future. That's probably my biggest takeaway.
Yep.
Hey, Gario, real quick, I know we're at the end here, and I'm sorry because it's being recorded. Is there any way that we could spend another like after we're done here, we could spend another 5 minutes with the slide deck and the music going so we can keep chatting? Because I'm sitting too far away. I haven't been able to interact with anybody. Is that possible, Gario?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Because I have a question for everybody. Has this been worthwhile? People in the chat box, has this been a good thing? I know that you guys are used to live, but this is what we got. Should we do it again?
I think that's a resounding yes, Mickeli, from everybody. Guys, you're the ones that are making this so value added as well. Josh and Mickeli bringing incredible content, incredible feedback, but we love that this community is so engaged. We love that you guys are chatting with each other. We love that you're bringing your questions. And this is the stuff that we want to keep doing. This is what drives the Closers Media team, including myself and Mickeli and Allison and everybody. So we're glad this is helpful. Mickeli and Josh, and I need to wrap it up, but I've got a couple quick just housekeeping items for you guys. The first thing is I'm going to go ahead, and if you're curious about continuing conversations, we're going to go ahead and just post right now into the chat box the link to join the Closers community on Facebook, so that you can go ahead and begin to engage with other people after today's event. The second thing we want to make sure that you know of is that you will be receiving an email from Eventbrite. Please keep an eye out for that. We specifically are starting to do some post-event surveys that really help us improve. And so while you might not be able to have the time to post all your feedback in chat today, if you could take just a minute to look for that and then fill that out for us, it is a huge help. I'm also going to go ahead and post that right into the chat right now for you. Please keep an eye out here. This is a Google form that we're sending to everybody, and you can take a moment to fill that out. Mickeli and Josh, I'm going to pass it back over to you guys to wrap up.
First and foremost, and I'm going to end with you, Fedie, because I have some, believe it or not, no, you know I adore you, and I want to thank you. But first of all, I want to thank you to the Closers community. I want to thank you to hopefully new Closers community members. I really want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I know that this isn't the theater. I get it, right? But we're really excited for your support here and for taking walking this journey with us, because we didn't know what to expect either. And it looks like there's been a lot of good chat. So I don't know about you, Josh. I'm gonna stick around for a little bit and get a chance to type back. I'm gonna list it as Allison, I think. So just bear with me there. I'll be Allison today. But I want to thank you guys very much. As long as you keep showing up, I made this commitment 2.5 years ago. As long as you guys keep showing up, we're going to keep doing these things. We got a lot of exciting stuff in the hopper, and we'll see you all soon and talk to you in the chat in a few. Now, Mr. Fedie,
yeah,
dude, you've been a brother like no other. And
yeah.
You know, we had David Breyer, who I don't know if he's on right now, big famous marketing, branding, New York best time seller. We had to move that out. This really did disrupt a lot, and you stepped up as you always do, and then you make it rain with your comments and your advice and your content. So I know we joke a lot, but sincerely, brother, thank you for helping us set this up. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, no, it was the joy of my life being tech support for Coffee&Closers. Totally kidding. Yeah, no, it was, but it's honestly like we have to do things like this, right? This was a lot of fun to do this. And so I was honored to be called back. The first time I was on Coffee&Closers, I got a thermos. The second time I got a Coffee&Closers t-shirt. I can't wait to see what you buy me for the third time. I think, maybe a nice suede jacket or something like that. That'd be nice. Yeah, we'll see. Regardless, I will hang around in the chat. I'd love to chat with people because I haven't been able to stay on top of that while we've been doing this. I put my LinkedIn URL in there, so anyone on here that I'm not currently connected with on LinkedIn, send me a connection request and just say, hey, I saw you on Coffee&Closers, just so I... And sales, just shoot me a software he'll share well that anybody can just kind of check out and ask for a demo if they're interested. But this has been great, Mickeli. I love supporting the mission of Coffee&Closers. We have very similar aligned missions in life, which is just to help see everybody else be successful as well. So this has been great, and I hope everyone got a lot of value.
Yeah, you've really done a really big thing building Coffee&Closers here, Josh. I really appreciate you. Let the confusion continue. All right, I'll see you in the chat, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, so what do we think? What'd you learn? Well, if you like that, check out coffeeclosers.com for upcoming episodes, recordings, and more. And don't forget to check out our sponsors. Each one has been hand-selected. They are best in class. Until next time, we'll see you at the next Coffee&Closers. Cheers.
Come on, live a life we love. Gotta live, I said live a life we love.